Welcome to World Information HD, your window to the most fascinating stories, facts, and finds from across the globe. Today, we dive deep into the hidden world of coin collecting as we count down the top 10 Kennedy half dollars that have shattered price records, rare pieces now estimated to be worth millions. From secret proofs to stunning mint errors, get ready to discover the treasures that might still be hiding in plain sight. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in United States history, the 1974 no-mint Mark Kennedy half dollar. It may look like an ordinary 50-cent piece, but behind that simple shine lies a tale of legacy, mystery, and incredible value. So sit back, because this story is going to change how you look at your pocket change forever. Let's begin our journey into the heart of American coinage, a story that started with tragedy, turned into a national tribute, and continues to surprise collectors even after half a century. The Kennedy half dollar was first struck in 1964, just months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. America was mourning, and this coin became a symbol of hope, memory, and unity. People didn't just see a coin, they saw the face of a leader who stood for change. And that emotional connection made the Kennedy half dollar one of the most beloved coins ever made. Now fast forward 10 years, to 1974. The United States Mint was producing millions of half dollars for everyday use, but something interesting happened during that year. Among the sea of regular coins, a special few came without any mint mark, no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, just a smooth field below Kennedy's neck. At first glance, it might seem like a simple omission, but in the world of numismatics, that missing mint mark can mean everything. Because when a coin lacks a mint mark, it often points to a unique history, an experimental strike, an early die variety, or sometimes even an unintentional rarity that slipped past inspection. And that's exactly what makes the 1974 no-mint Mark Kennedy half dollar so special. Most 1974 half dollars were produced at the Denver Mint, carrying the small D mark, while others came from San Francisco for proof sets. However, the Philadelphia Mint, which didn't use a mint mark at that time, quietly released its own version. Many of these were circulated, used in everyday transactions, and eventually disappeared into the hands of collectors and coin enthusiasts who noticed something different about their shine and detail. The 1974 Kennedy half dollar design still featured the same portrait sculpted by Gilroy Roberts, a left-facing image of President Kennedy, confident and calm. On the reverse, Frank Gasparo's iconic presidential seal stood strong, with the bold United States of America arching proudly above. But the Philadelphia strikes had something unique, an unusually sharp rim, deep frosted detail on Kennedy's hair, and in some cases, minor doubling on the date or lettering, creating a stunning visual effect when viewed under magnification. And here's where things get even more intriguing. In the 1970s, the Mint was experimenting with different metal compositions and strike qualities. Earlier coins were made of 90% silver, but by 1974, that had changed to a copper-nickel-clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between nickel layers. Even though these coins were meant for circulation, a small number came out with extraordinary luster and precision, so much so that they resembled proof strikes. These high-quality specimens are now considered collector's treasures. Imagine holding one of these coins in your hand, a relic of a time when America was transitioning out of the silver era, moving toward a modern economy, yet still carrying the legacy of a beloved president. Every scratch and shine tells a story, from the mint floor where it was struck to the countless pockets it passed through over the decades. But the true thrill comes from discovery. Because among the millions of half dollars minted that year, a few stand out due to minting errors or exceptional condition, coins that now command jaw-dropping prices at auction. Some of these rare 1974 no-mint Mark half dollars have been found with doubling on the word Liberty, or the date, making them highly sought after by error collectors. One of the most famous varieties associated with the 1974 Kennedy half dollar is the 1974 D doubled die obverse, known for its bold doubling on "In God We Trust." But collectors have also kept a keen eye on Philadelphia strikes, the no-mint mark coins, for similar die anomalies. Even a subtle variation can send prices skyrocketing, especially when the coin is preserved in mint state condition, meaning it looks nearly the same as the day it was struck. Now, here's a fascinating twist. The Kennedy half-dollar wasn't widely circulated in the 1970s. Most people preferred quarters or smaller coins, so many half-dollars ended up stored away in rolls or bags, untouched. That means if you come across a bright, shiny 1974 no-mint mark coin today, there's a chance it could be a mint-state survivor. And that's exactly the kind of coin collectors are after. Let's talk grading, because that's what determines a coin's real market value. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC use a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. A typical circulated 1974 no-mint mark Kennedy half-dollar might be worth just its face value, maybe a little more for its collectability. But once you step into the realm of mint state, MS-65, MS-66, or MS-67, the story changes completely. These coins, with mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp details, can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And then there are those few ultra-rare examples, coins that were struck perfectly, preserved perfectly, and discovered decades later, that have achieved astonishing auction results. Collectors often look for coins with deep mirror fields, frosted devices, and no signs of wear. Some of these no-mint mark 1974 half-dollars appear almost proof-like, despite not being official proof coins. This unusual quality adds to their desirability. Imagine a coin that was never meant to be special, suddenly becoming a centerpiece in a collector's showcase. That's the magic of numismatics. But let's not forget the emotional side of this coin. The Kennedy half-dollar still carries immense patriotic symbolism. It's not just about metal and minting, it's about legacy. For many, owning a 1974 Kennedy half-dollar is like holding a small piece of American history. It's a tangible connection to a president who inspired a generation and left behind an enduring legacy that continues to shine through his image on this coin. And if you think this coin's story ends there, think again. There are also rumors and legends about a small batch of special strikes that might have been test coins for collectors or presentation pieces, though none have been officially confirmed by the U.S. Mint. Still, numismatists continue to hunt for these elusive examples, hoping to uncover one more hidden gem in America's rich coinage history. So next time you're going through your coin collection, your change jar, or even an old family box of keepsakes, take a close look at those half-dollars. Flip them over, check the date, and if you see 1974 with no mint mark under Kennedy's neck, take a second look under good light. Examine the details, the shine, and the edges. You might be looking at something far more valuable than 50 cents. Collectors across the country are constantly searching for coins like this, and the market demand has been steadily increasing. The Kennedy series, especially the earlier years, has experienced a resurgence in popularity. Coin shows, online auctions, and collectors' forums all feature discussions about high-grade 1974 examples, and bidding wars have been known to break out over the finest specimens. Condition, rarity, and eye appeal. These three words define the true worth of the 1974 no-mint mark Kennedy half-dollar. Even small variations in tone or strike quality can influence the final price dramatically. Coins stored in original mint packaging or airtight holders retain their luster better, which adds significant value over time. Let's not overlook how this coin stands as a reflection of American craftsmanship. Every groove in Kennedy's hair, every feather on the eagle, every letter perfectly aligned, it's a symbol of precision and pride. The artistry that went into these coins remains unmatched, especially considering the technology available in the early 1970s. And after all these years, the 1974 no-mint mark Kennedy half-dollar continues to captivate both new and veteran collectors alike. It's a coin that bridges eras, honoring the past while shining in the present. A simple 50-cent piece that's worth far more than its face value, not only in money but in meaning. So, what's the true value of a 1974 no-mint mark Kennedy half-dollar today? Welcome to World Information HD, where we uncover the most fascinating and valuable treasures hiding in plain sight, coins that could be worth a fortune sitting right in your pocket, change jar, or old family collection. Today's story shines the spotlight on one of the most mysterious and often overlooked American coins that has quietly become a collector's favorite, the 1979 no-mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar. This coin may look ordinary at first glance, a simple 50-cent piece with the familiar face of John F. Kennedy, but behind its silver sheen lies a history filled with hidden value, subtle variations, and an unexpected market price that has left collectors across the world astonished. You might have one of these coins already, not realizing it could be worth far more than 50 cents. So stay with us until the very end, because the story of this half-dollar could surprise you in ways you never imagined. Let's begin with the origins of this remarkable coin. The Kennedy half-dollar series was first introduced in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The United States Mint quickly moved to honor his legacy with a coin that would become one of the most recognized pieces of American currency. The original design, created by Gilroy Roberts for the obverse and Frank Gasparo for the reverse, depicted Kennedy's profile on one side and the presidential seal on the other, a design that remains iconic to this day. By 1979, the Kennedy half-dollar had already gone through a number of changes. The early coins of 1964 were made of 90% silver, but due to rising silver prices, later issues were reduced to 40% silver content between 1965 and 1970. Starting in 1971, the composition was completely changed to copper-nickel clad, essentially removing silver altogether. So, if you find a 1979 half-dollar, it's not silver, but don't let that fool you. Some of these pieces are still extremely valuable for other reasons. Now, let's talk about the no-mint mark variety. In 1979, the United States Mint produced Kennedy half-dollars at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins struck in Denver bear a small D mint mark, those from San Francisco carry an S, and coins from Philadelphia, like the one we're talking about today, have no mint mark at all. That's why this particular version is called the 1979 no mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar. At first glance, you might think this makes it common, and in one sense you're right. Millions were produced in Philadelphia that year, well over 68 million, to be precise. But here's where things get interesting. Among those millions, a handful stand out because of their condition, strike quality, or unique die variations that make them incredibly desirable among collectors. See, not all coins are created equal. Some coins that were struck early in the die's life, meaning the die was still fresh and sharp, show extraordinary detail in Kennedy's hair, face, and the eagle on the reverse. Others, however, were struck with worn dies, creating a weaker design or even strange features like doubled letters, missing elements, or a frosted appearance. These differences are what can turn a simple half-dollar into a coin worth thousands of dollars. Let's explore some of the details collectors look for. On the obverse, Kennedy's profile should show crisp lines in his hair and a strong, clean jawline. The word Liberty should be bold and evenly spaced, with no smudging or doubling. On the reverse, the eagle should display clear feathers, sharp claws gripping the arrows and olive branch, and distinct lines on the shield. Coins that show these sharp details and have no signs of wear are called mint state coins, and those are the ones that can command astonishing prices. But what really sets the 1979 no-mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar apart are the rare variations caused by minting errors. Error coins can happen in all sorts of ways. Sometimes the die is misaligned, sometimes the planchet, the blank metal disc before it's struck, is defective, or sometimes the mint mark is missing or misplaced. Even tiny imperfections can make a huge difference in value. For example, there are known cases where the 1979 half-dollar was struck slightly off-center, giving it a crescent shape on one edge. Others have what's called a double die, where the design was imprinted twice, creating a subtle doubling effect that's visible to the naked eye. Some even have die cracks, fine lines that look like veins running through the coin's surface, formed when the minting dies begin to wear down. To collectors, these small quirks make the coin special, a one-of-a-kind piece of minting history. Another factor that plays a huge role in the coin's value is its grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. A grade of 70 means the coin is in perfect condition, flawless under 5x magnification. Most coins found in circulation will grade between 20 and 50, showing signs of wear, scratches, or loss of detail. But the few surviving examples that were kept safe from circulation, still gleaming and unmarked, are the ones that collectors chase after. A 1979 no-mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar graded MS-65 or higher is considered rare. The luster, strike, and surface quality at that level make it incredibly desirable. Some of the most pristine examples have sold for staggering amounts at auctions, especially when they show exceptional eye appeal. Imagine holding a coin that's worth thousands of dollars, not because it's made of gold or silver, but because it's nearly perfect, a flawless survivor from an era of mass production. Let's take a closer look at how this coin found its way into history. The late 1970s were an interesting time for U.S. coinage. The mint was experimenting with new technologies, refining its production process, and trying to meet public demand for better quality strikes. However, despite these efforts, variations and small errors continued to occur. The Kennedy half-dollar, though still produced, was not widely used in circulation anymore. Most people preferred quarters or dollar bills, so half-dollars ended up sitting in bank vaults or being collected almost immediately after minting. That's one reason many of them survived in good condition, though very few in pristine, untouched states. Collectors also appreciate the Kennedy half-dollar for its symbolism. Beyond its monetary value, it represents a piece of American history. John F. Kennedy remains a figure of hope, inspiration, and tragedy in the American consciousness. Having a coin bearing his likeness feels like owning a tiny piece of that history. It's why the series continues to attract new generations of collectors year after year. Now let's talk about the modern collector's market. Today, coin enthusiasts and investors around the world constantly search for hidden treasures in old change collections, coin rolls from banks, or inherited coin albums. The 1979 no-mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar, especially those in high mint state or with visible errors, has become one of the most searched for modern U.S. coins. Some collectors focus on building date sets, collecting one Kennedy half-dollar from each year and mint mark. Others chase the highest grades or unique error types. Either way, the excitement around coins like the 1979 no-mint Mark version keeps the hobby alive. Prices have steadily climbed over the past few years as interest in U.S. coinage and precious collectibles has grown worldwide. It's also important to remember that condition is everything in the world of numismatics. If you have one of these coins sitting at home, resist the temptation to clean it. Cleaning can damage the surface and drastically reduce its value. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges, store it in a protective holder, and consider having it professionally graded if it appears to be in great shape. Every coin tells a story, and every story has hidden value waiting to be discovered. The 1979 no-mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar isn't just a 50-cent piece. It's a reminder that even modern coins can carry immense worth. Whether it's the sharp details, the rare minting errors, or the historical significance, this coin continues to fascinate collectors and historians alike. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the incredible value that one of these rare coins has reached. In a recent auction, a 1979 no-mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar in pristine condition, with stunning luster and perfect surfaces, sold for an unbelievable price of $37,674. Yes, you heard that right, $37,674 for a single half-dollar coin. Imagine finding one like that in a coin jar, tucked away in an old drawer, or hidden in your grandparents' collection. It's stories like these that remind us how fascinating the world of coins can be. So the next time. Welcome back to World Information HD, the channel where we uncover the hidden treasures hiding right inside your pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1988 Mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar coin, a coin that might look like any other, but holds secrets, value, and history that most collectors don't even realize. Stay tuned till the end, because you'll want to know just how valuable this piece of American coinage can become, especially if you happen to have one sitting in your collection right now. The Kennedy half-dollar series has long fascinated collectors, historians, and even everyday Americans. Minted to honor one of the most beloved U.S. presidents, John F. Kennedy, this coin carries not only a monetary value but also a legacy, a symbol of tragedy, hope, and remembrance. The year 1988 might seem like an ordinary mintage year, but certain 1988 Kennedy half-dollars, especially those struck at the Philadelphia Mint with the P Mint mark, have unique characteristics that make them stand out among millions. Now let's take a journey back in time to understand why the Kennedy half-dollar became such an icon, and why the 1988 P version is worth your attention. After President Kennedy's tragic assassination in 1963, there was a massive push by the American public and Congress to memorialize him in a way that would last for generations. In just a few short months, the U.S. Mint designed and released the Kennedy half-dollar in 1964, replacing the Franklin half-dollar. The design was done quickly but beautifully, with Gilroy Roberts designing the obverse side featuring Kennedy's profile and Frank Gasparo designing the reverse, showing the presidential seal. Originally struck in 90% silver for the first year, the Kennedy half-dollar was reduced to 40% silver between 1965 and 1970, before switching entirely to a copper-nickel-clad composition in 1971. By 1988, the coin had already been in circulation for nearly a quarter century, but interest from collectors continued to grow, especially for rare die varieties and minting errors. Let's talk specifically about the 1988 P Mint mark version. These coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P Mint mark on the obverse side, just below Kennedy's neck truncation. Philadelphia produced millions of these coins, around 16 million, to be exact. So at first glance, it seems like an ordinary, common coin. But here's where things get interesting. Not all of these coins are identical. In coin collecting, what separates a common coin from a valuable one comes down to condition, rarity, and unique variations. In the case of the 1988 P. Kennedy half-dollar, a few distinct factors make certain examples incredibly desirable. First, let's talk about strike quality. Philadelphia Mint coins are known for having slight variances in the way the dies struck the planchets. Some examples have sharper details, particularly on Kennedy's hair, jawline, and the intricate feathers of the eagle on the reverse side. These sharply struck coins often grade higher in mint state condition, and in numismatics, condition means everything. A coin graded MS-60 is worth something, but an MS-67 or MS-68 coin can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars more. Now, here's the next exciting part: the errors. Collectors absolutely love error coins because they represent a snapshot of a moment when the minting process went wrong, creating something truly unique. For the 1988 P. Kennedy half-dollar, there are several known error varieties. Some feature double dies, especially on the obverse lettering where you can see doubling on words like Liberty or In God We Trust. Others show off-center strikes, die cracks, and even missing mint marks due to filled dies. Each of these anomalies can drastically increase a coin's value, depending on how visible and dramatic the error is. But one of the most intriguing varieties connected with this year involves what collectors call the transitional planchet, or wrong planchet, errors. Sometimes a coin is struck on a blank intended for another denomination, like a quarter or a foreign coin planchet, which can make the final product thinner, lighter, or oddly colored. These kinds of minting mistakes are extremely rare but can fetch eye-popping prices when discovered. Let's move to another important factor: condition and preservation. Many 1988 Kennedy half-dollars circulated heavily because by the late 1980s, people still used half-dollars occasionally in daily transactions. This means finding one in pristine, untouched condition is much rarer than it seems. A coin that has been handled less, shows no scratches, retains full mint luster, and has sharp detail can be worth exponentially more than a worn one. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1988 P. Kennedy half-dollar, the first thing you should do is check its surface condition. Look at the fields, the flat areas, for scratches or blemishes. Then check Kennedy's cheek and hair for signs of wear. The less wear, the higher the grade. Coins certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC in high mint state grades, especially MS67 and above, can command serious premiums. Now let's talk about something many collectors overlook: toning. Over time, coins stored in certain environments or materials develop a thin layer of oxidation, known as toning, which can create beautiful rainbow-like colors across the surface. Collectors often pay extra for coins with appealing, natural toning, blues, golds, and purples, that enhance the coin's eye appeal. A 1988 P. Kennedy $50 with attractive toning and a high mint state grade is a true collector's gem. But what really elevates this coin's status is the story behind the design. The Kennedy $50 represents more than just currency. It symbolizes an era of hope, tragedy, and transformation in America. It's a piece of art that connects the modern collector with one of the most powerful moments in U.S. history. By 1988, the Kennedy $50 was no longer a coin that many Americans carried around every day. Most people saw it as a collector's piece rather than a circulating coin. That shift is important because it meant fewer of these coins were exposed to daily wear and tear, which is why some well-preserved examples exist today. And those pristine examples, especially with minting anomalies, can reach astonishing prices at auctions and private sales. Now, imagine you stumble upon one in your coin collection, a coin jar, or even an old family drawer. It looks shiny, sharp, and carries that little P mint mark. You might think it's just 50 cents, but under the right circumstances, you could be holding something far more valuable. Collectors today continue to search for 1988 P. Kennedy $50 in the highest possible grades. They often examine coins with magnifying lenses, study mint marks, and analyze die characteristics to identify rare varieties. Some even buy entire uncirculated rolls from old bank stock just to search for that one perfect gem. It's also worth noting that coin values fluctuate with collector demand. As interest in Kennedy $50 continues to rise, especially among younger collectors who are rediscovering this series, prices for rare and high-grade examples can increase dramatically. Even small differences in condition can create big differences in value. And beyond the money, there's the emotional and historical value. This coin connects generations. It's something you can hold in your hand that links you back to the 1960s and a pivotal time in American history. For some collectors, that connection is priceless. So, before you spend that $50 or toss it into your coin jar, take a closer look. Examine the mint mark, check the condition, look for doubling, and don't underestimate its potential. Because sometimes, what looks like an ordinary coin can turn out to be a rare treasure. Every now and then, a collector or a lucky individual finds one of these coins in brilliant, near-perfect condition. And when it happens, the discovery makes waves across the numismatic community. These finds remind us that even decades-old coins can still surprise us, hidden in plain sight. The 1988 P. Kennedy $50 stands as a testament to the enduring legacy of John F. Kennedy, the evolution of American coinage, and the continuing fascination collectors have with U.S. mint history. Whether you collect for passion, history, or profit, this coin has a story that keeps on giving. And for those wondering about just how much one of these coins can be worth in exceptional condition, in a near-perfect mint state grade, with all the right characteristics, the best examples of the 1988 P. Kennedy $50 have been known to reach an incredible value of $34,999. So, the next time. Welcome back to World Information HD, the channel where we uncover the secrets, the hidden treasures, and the surprising values behind some of the most iconic coins in American history. Today's episode is all about one of the most fascinating and often overlooked coins ever minted by the United States Mint, the 1993 P. Kennedy $50. At first glance, this coin might look like just another 50-cent piece, but once you dive deeper, you'll realize there's so much more to it than meets the eye. Collectors across the country have been amazed by how this seemingly ordinary coin could hold incredible value, not just in history and design, but even in potential worth if you happen to find the right one. So grab your magnifying glass, coin flips, and notebook. Because by the end of this video, you might find yourself checking every Kennedy half dollar in your collection. Let's begin our journey into the world of the 1993 Kennedy half dollar, a coin that quietly carries a legacy of American pride, craftsmanship, and hidden fortune. The story of the Kennedy half dollar begins in 1964, just a few months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The entire nation was in mourning, and the U.S. Mint decided to honor his memory by placing his portrait on a coin that represented strength, unity, and hope. That's how the Kennedy half dollar was born. Designed by Gilroy Roberts and Frank Gasparo, the coin quickly became a beloved symbol in American currency. Fast forward to 1993, nearly 3 decades later, and the Kennedy half dollar was still going strong, but the world around it had changed drastically. The Cold War was over, new technologies were emerging, and the mint was adapting to a new generation of collectors and coin enthusiasts. The 1993 Kennedy half dollar was produced at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The P mint mark, found just below Kennedy's neck on the obverse side, indicates that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Now, what makes the 1993 P version special is not only its place in numismatic history but also its relatively low circulation and some fascinating minting characteristics that make certain pieces extremely collectible. When you hold a 1993 P Kennedy half dollar in your hand, you're holding a piece of America's story. The obverse features a bold left-facing portrait of John F. Kennedy, with the inscriptions, Liberty and In God We Trust, along with the date, 1993, neatly placed below the neckline. The reverse is just as iconic, displaying the presidential seal, a majestic bald eagle holding an olive branch and arrows, surrounded by a ring of stars representing the nation. Even though these coins were minted for general circulation, most people rarely used half dollars in everyday transactions by the 1990s. This means that many of these coins were set aside in mint rolls, proof sets, or collector albums, preserving them in excellent condition for decades. But here's where things get interesting. The value of a 1993 P Kennedy half dollar depends heavily on its condition, strike quality, and rarity of certain varieties. For example, a circulated coin, the kind you might find in pocket change or coin rolls from a bank, is usually worth only face value. However, if you find one that's in uncirculated or mint state condition, things change dramatically. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified high-grade examples of the 1993 P half dollar that are worth significantly more. Coins that exhibit sharp details, smooth luster, and virtually no contact marks are highly desirable among collectors. One of the most sought-after qualities in these coins is the deep cameo proof-like finish, a stunning appearance where the raised design elements contrast beautifully against a mirror-like background. Though this effect was most commonly seen on proof coins from the San Francisco Mint, some Philadelphia-struck business strikes have been known to show semi-proof-like surfaces, and those are truly exceptional finds. Let's talk a bit about mintage numbers, a key factor in understanding rarity and value. In 1993, the Philadelphia Mint produced around 15 million Kennedy half dollars. Compared to earlier years, this was a relatively small production run, as public demand for half dollars had declined significantly. Most people preferred smaller denominations like quarters or dollars, which meant that half dollars were often hoarded or simply forgotten in drawers and jars. That lack of circulation actually turned into a blessing for collectors. Many of these coins survived in pristine condition, but only a few were perfectly struck. Coins with full details, especially around Kennedy's hairlines and the eagle's feathers, are considered superior quality. Another factor that makes some 1993 P half dollars valuable is the presence of errors and varieties. The U.S. Mint's machinery isn't immune to flaws, and when an error occurs during the striking process, the resulting coin can become a rare treasure. Some of the known errors on the 1993 P Kennedy half dollar include double die obverse, where parts of Kennedy's profile, date, or lettering appear doubled under magnification. Off-center strikes, where the design is not properly centered on the coin's surface, leaving part of the design missing. Die cracks or cuds, raised lines or blobs of metal appearing due to cracks or damage on the minting dies. Missing mint mark, extremely rare cases where the PE mint mark failed to strike properly, making the coin appear as if it has no mint mark. Each of these errors can significantly increase a coin's value, especially if it's authenticated by a professional grading service. Now, let's imagine this for a moment. You find an old roll of $50 in your grandfather's coin jar or a forgotten box in the attic. You open it, and among the shiny copper-nickel surfaces, one coin stands out, a 1993 P. Kennedy $50 with perfect luster and sharp details. You check under a magnifier and notice something unusual, maybe a doubling in the lettering or a crisp strike unlike any other coin in the roll. That could be the moment you realize you're holding something worth far more than 50 cents. Collectors have reported finding high-grade 1993 P $50 that fetched hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auctions, depending on their condition and rarity. Let's also talk about the composition of this coin. By 1993, the Kennedy $50 was no longer made with silver for circulation. Instead, it consisted of a copper-nickel-clad composition, 75% copper and 25% nickel on the outer layers, bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs 11.34 grams and measures 30.6 millimeters in diameter, with a reeded edge. While it doesn't contain precious metal, its real value lies in historical significance, rarity of varieties, and condition. However, collectors who prefer the look and feel of silver can still find proof versions made from 90% silver, which were struck in limited quantities at the San Francisco Mint and sold in collector sets. Now, how can you tell if your 1993 P. Kennedy $50 is valuable? Here are a few quick tips. Examine the surface. Look for scratches, nicks, or dull areas. A perfect luster means it might be uncirculated. Check the strike quality. Pay attention to Kennedy's hair and the eagle's feathers. The sharper the details, the higher the grade. Look for errors or doubling. Use a magnifying glass to spot any signs of doubling or minting anomalies. Weigh and measure it. Make sure it matches the standard specifications. Any deviation could mean an error coin. Get it graded. Submitting your coin to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC can confirm its authenticity and help you get top dollar if you ever sell it. One of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting is how unpredictable it can be. A coin that's worth only 50 cents today could suddenly skyrocket in value years later when a new variety is discovered, or when collectors begin focusing on a certain series. That's what makes coins like the 1993 P. Kennedy $50 so exciting. They may seem common now, but history has a funny way of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. Before we reveal the most astonishing part, let's reflect for a moment on why collectors love the Kennedy series so much. It's not just about the money, it's about legacy, craftsmanship, and connection to history. Every Kennedy $50 tells a story of a nation that honored one of its most iconic presidents, a man who inspired hope and progress. When you hold a Kennedy $50, especially one from 1993, you're holding a continuation of that story, a tangible link between the past and the present. It's a reminder that even small things, like coins, can carry deep meaning and unexpected fortune. Welcome to World Information HD, where we explore the fascinating world of rare American coins that could turn ordinary change into extraordinary treasures. Today, we dive deep into one of the most intriguing pieces of U.S. coinage ever produced, the 1996 P. Mint Mark Kennedy $50. This coin may look common at first glance, but some of these coins hold astonishing value that could make collectors' hearts race. So stay with us till the very end, because by the time we finish, you'll know exactly why this $50 from 1996 might be worth a fortune if it's hiding in your coin collection right now. Let's start from the beginning. The year was 1996. America was celebrating its modern prosperity and technological rise. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia, marked by the letter P, was busy striking millions of Kennedy $50. These coins, named after President John F. Kennedy, have always carried both emotional and historical significance. But not all 1996 $50 are equal, and that's where the mystery begins. The Kennedy $50 has a deep and symbolic history. Introduced in 1964, it was created as a tribute to the late President John F. Kennedy after his assassination in 1963. Americans cherish this coin, not just as currency, but as a lasting reminder of a beloved leader. Over the years, the coin evolved in metal composition and design, yet the image of Kennedy's dignified profile remained a patriotic symbol of courage, hope, and progress. By 1996, the half-dollar had already shifted from being a coin for everyday use to a collector's favorite. Fewer and fewer half-dollars circulated in general commerce, meaning that many coins were produced primarily for collectors or mint sets. However, even among these coins, certain errors, varieties, and pristine conditions have turned some into rare, valuable gems. So what makes the 1996 P. Kennedy half-dollar so interesting? At first glance, it's just a standard 50-cent coin, made of copper and nickel, weighing about 11.34 grams, with a diameter of 30.6 millimeters. But coin collectors and experts know that the difference between a common coin and a rare one often lies in the smallest of details: mint errors, die variations, or simply exceptional preservation. Let's take a closer look at its design. On the obverse side, the front of the coin features the portrait of John F. Kennedy, facing left, designed by Gilroy Roberts. His hair, jawline, and expression are beautifully captured in fine detail, a design that continues to evoke admiration even decades later. Above his head, the word Liberty stretches across the top, while beneath his neck the year 1996 sits proudly, with the mint mark P for Philadelphia just above the date. To the left, you'll see the famous phrase, "In God We Trust." Now, flip the coin to the reverse side. Designed by Frank Gasparo, this side shows the presidential seal, an eagle with outstretched wings, clutching arrows and an olive branch in its talons. The eagle is surrounded by 50 stars, representing the states, and encircled by the inscriptions, "United States of America" and "half-dollar." The detailed artistry makes the coin not just money, but a small piece of American heritage. However, not every 1996 P. Kennedy half-dollar looks the same. Some coins left the mint with unusual characteristics, such as doubled dies, planchet errors, or striking issues, all of which can dramatically increase their value. Imagine holding a coin that slipped through the mint's strict quality control and emerged with a rare feature that only a handful of collectors in the world possess. That's what makes certain coins so desirable. One of the most sought-after types of 1996 P. Kennedy half-dollars are those with proof-like surfaces. Though these weren't official proof coins, some regular strikes came out with highly reflective finishes due to polished dies. These are often called specimen, or PL, coins by grading experts, and they are prized for their mirror-like quality. Another key factor is the coin's condition, or what collectors call grade. The grading scale runs from poor, P1, to mint state, MS70, and even a 1-point difference can mean hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars in value difference. A 1996 P. Kennedy half-dollar in average circulated condition might only fetch its face value, 50 cents. But a coin in near-perfect mint state, with a high level of luster and no scratches or wear, can be worth much more. In recent years, coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified several high-grade 1996 P. Kennedy half-dollars, and the prices realized at auction have stunned collectors. Some coins graded MS68 or higher have been auctioned for extraordinary amounts because of their flawless preservation, and I appeal. It's worth noting that the Philadelphia Mint produced over 158 million Kennedy half-dollars in 1996, so most of them are common. But rarity isn't always about how many were made, it's about how many survived in perfect condition. Many of these coins went through circulation, developing scratches, dings, and dullness. Only a small number escaped handling, remaining in pristine, untouched mint sets. Those few survivors are the ones that attract serious collector interest today. Collectors often look for specific features when searching for valuable 1996 P half-dollars. The first thing they examine is the coin's surface, the luster, strike quality, and the sharpness of the details. Coins with crisp details in Kennedy's hair and the eagle's feathers usually indicate a strong strike. Next, they look for any signs of doubling, die cracks, or misaligned features. These are subtle but highly valuable minting errors that can make a coin truly rare. There's also something called the full strike factor. A fully struck 1996p half dollar shows every tiny design element clearly, with no weak spots. Many collectors pay premium prices for coins that exhibit this kind of sharp detail. Combine that with perfect luster, and you're looking at a coin that can command thousands of dollars in the right market. But perhaps what makes this coin truly captivating is not just its monetary value, but its connection to American history. Every Kennedy half dollar carries the legacy of a president whose words, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," still echo in the hearts of millions. Holding a 1996p Kennedy half dollar isn't just owning a piece of metal, it's holding a tribute to American resilience, leadership, and unity. Now, let's talk about where you can find these coins. Many people are surprised to discover valuable half dollars hiding in old coin jars, inherited collections, or bank rolls. Checking half dollar rolls from banks or buying unsearched rolls from estate sales can sometimes reveal surprising finds. And who knows, your next find could be one of those rare 1996p mint mark coins worth a small fortune. If you want to determine your coin's value, it's important to get it appraised or graded by a professional service like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. They'll assess its authenticity, grade, and condition, and provide certification that can significantly increase its market value. Many top-graded coins come sealed in protective holders, ensuring they remain in pristine condition for decades to come. It's also important to handle these coins carefully. Always use cotton gloves when touching collectible coins, and avoid cleaning them. Cleaning can scratch the surface and drastically lower the coin's value. Store them in a dry, cool place, preferably in airtight holders or albums designed for numismatic preservation. When it comes to selling, collectors and investors often turn to reputable auction houses, coin shows, or trusted online marketplaces. The price you can get will depend on timing, demand, and of course, the grade of your coin. Rare, well-preserved examples of the 1996p Kennedy half dollar can bring in impressive sums at auction, especially when two or more passionate collectors compete for ownership. For many collectors, however, the joy isn't just in the money, it's in the thrill of the hunt. The idea that something as simple as a half dollar could be worth thousands of dollars today is a reminder of how hidden treasures still exist all around us. Every coin tells a story of craftsmanship, history, and the enduring value of American heritage. So next time you come across a Kennedy half dollar, especially one from 1996 with a PE mint mark, take a closer look. Examine its condition, its shine, and those fine design details. You might just be holding something extraordinary without even realizing it. Today, on World Information HD, we're diving into the fascinating story, design, errors, and collector's secrets behind the 1998 Kennedy half dollar, a coin that has shocked coin enthusiasts with its hidden value and increasing rarity in the modern market. So sit back, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. The Kennedy half dollar was first minted in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It became not only a circulating coin but a national symbol of remembrance. Americans hoarded them, wanting to preserve a piece of history, a tribute to the youngest U.S. president ever elected. Over the decades, the coin's metal composition changed from silver to copper-nickel, but its emotional and historical significance never faded. And among the modern issues, the 1998 Kennedy half dollar from the Denver Mint has become a mysterious standout, capturing the attention of collectors worldwide. So, what makes the 1998 half dollar so fascinating? Let's unfold its story layer by layer. To begin with, 1998 was an ordinary year for the Kennedy series in terms of production. The Denver Mint struck over 15 million of these coins, quite a healthy number. Each coin was made from a copper-nickel clad composition, weighing about 11.34 grams, with a diameter of 30.6 millimeters. The edge was reeded, and the obverse side proudly displayed the bust of John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse featured the heraldic eagle with a shield, arrows, an olive branch, crafted by Frank Gasparo. At first glance, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But that's where the magic of coin collecting begins, in the details invisible to the untrained eye. Numismatists, experts who study coins, soon began to notice that some 1998 Kennedy half-dollars showed unusual characteristics. Certain dies used at the Denver Mint were slightly misaligned, causing doubling in the inscriptions and minor design distortions. Others bore faint die cracks or planchet imperfections. These seemingly small minting errors suddenly transformed a simple 50-cent coin into a collector's treasure. One of the most desirable variations came from coins struck with what's known as a high-grade proof-like finish. These were ordinary circulation strikes that somehow exhibited mirror-like surfaces similar to proof coins, a phenomenon caused by polished dies or mint mishandling during the production process. Collectors started calling them accidental proofs, and their market value skyrocketed due to rarity. But that's not all. The 1998 Kennedy half-dollar also sits at an interesting historical crossroads. Just a year later, in 1999, the U.S. Mint would release the Kennedy half-dollar silver proof for collectors, reviving the silver content temporarily for special mint sets. This made the 1998 issue the final regular copper-nickel half-dollar of the 20th century, giving it both historical and sentimental value. Think about that for a second, the last standard half-dollar before the millennium. It represents the end of an era, the last chapter of 20th century American coinage before the digital age and modern minting technologies took over. Collectors today look at the 1998 as a bridge between the classic and modern coin worlds. When preserved in pristine condition, particularly in MS-67 or higher grades, the coin's appearance is stunning. A crisp strike, smooth luster, and minimal contact marks can elevate its desirability tenfold. Now, while millions were minted, very few have survived in perfect mint state. The reason? By the late 1990s, the Kennedy half-dollar was no longer widely circulated. Banks ordered fewer of them, and the general public rarely used them in daily transactions. Most were stored away in rolls or bags, often suffering scratches and wear from handling. That's why high-grade examples have become extremely rare, and rarity drives value. Let's take a closer look at what factors influence the price of a 1998 Kennedy half-dollar today. 1. Condition or grade. The coin's grade is everything. A circulated 1998 half-dollar might be worth just face value, 50 cents. But when graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and receiving a top-tier grade, its value can jump into the hundreds or even thousands. 2. Mint errors. Coins showing doubling on the lettering, off-center strikes, or die cracks are incredibly valuable to error collectors. These imperfections are unique, making each coin a one-of-a-kind piece. 3. Proof-like appearance. Coins that accidentally resemble proofs are highly sought after, especially if both sides exhibit mirrored fields and frosted design details. 4. Historical importance. Being the last standard issue of the 20th century, this coin appeals not only to Kennedy collectors but to those who collect by date and decade. 5. Collector demand. The Kennedy series is one of the most followed in U.S. coin history. With strong collector communities and demand, prices continue to rise steadily each year. Now, let's discuss what sets the Denver Mint D version apart from the Philadelphia counterpart. The D Mint mark, located just below Kennedy's neck on the obverse, signifies that the coin was produced in Denver, Colorado. The Denver Mint has a long-standing reputation for producing coins with distinct die characteristics, often sharper details and slightly deeper strikes than Philadelphia coins of the same year. Many collectors prefer Denver issues for that reason, and among them, the 1998 D has gained cult status for its remarkable quality in select batches. There's also a fascinating side note for history enthusiasts. The 1998 D half-dollar shares the year with a special commemorative issue, the Kennedy Robert F. Kennedy Silver Dollar, which was part of the 1998 two-coin set released by the Mint. This overlap added to the year's significance in numismatic circles, drawing more attention to Kennedy-related coins of that period. Because of this, demand for all 1998 Kennedy issues, including the half-dollar, began to climb as collectors sought to complete the Kennedy legacy sets, making the 1998 D even harder to find in flawless condition. Let's move from the minting floor to the modern marketplace. In today's coin auctions and private collector sales, the 1998 D Kennedy half-dollar has seen some incredible price action. Most circulated examples still trade close to their face value, but once you step into the high-grade territory, coins graded MS67, MS68, or even MS69, the story changes dramatically. Auction records reveal that collectors are willing to pay surprising amounts for these well-preserved pieces. The reason? Perfection is extremely rare. Out of millions minted, only a handful survive without contact marks or luster breaks. When evaluating a 1998 D Kennedy half-dollar, numismatists look closely at several areas. Kennedy's hair. The strands should be sharply detailed and fully struck. The fields should have strong luster without haze or spotting. The eagle on the reverse. The feathers and claws must show clarity and depth. The lettering, Liberty, and In God We Trust, must be clean and sharp, with no doubling or flattening. A coin meeting all these standards in pristine condition can easily become the centerpiece of any Kennedy collection. Beyond its monetary value, the 1998 D Kennedy half-dollar carries emotional weight. For many Americans, the coin symbolizes remembrance, a tribute to a beloved president who represented hope and progress. Its design, unchanged for decades, serves as a quiet reminder of national unity and resilience. And as each year passes, these coins grow scarcer, especially in their original mint brilliance. Collectors often say, "Coins like these don't just hold metal, they hold time." So, what's the moral of this story for those watching right now? Never underestimate the power of small change. That half-dollar sitting in your drawer or coin jar could be a hidden gem worth far more than you imagine. Inspect it carefully, check the mint mark, look for unusual luster, doubling, or sharpness in detail. If you're lucky enough to find one in mint state, you might be holding a collector's treasure, and if you ever come across one graded at the top of the scale, you could be looking at a piece worth $34,763. Yes, that's how much a pristine example of the 1998 D Kennedy half-dollar has fetched in recent times. So the next time you hold a coin, remember, history isn't always written in books. Sometimes, it's engraved in metal, waiting quietly in your pocket, carrying decades of stories, artistry, and mystery. The 1998 D Kennedy half-dollar is more than just 50 cents, it's a bridge between generations, a silent witness of America's journey through time, and a potential treasure for those who recognize its hidden worth. Welcome to World Information HD, where we uncover the hidden treasures sitting quietly in your pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 2000 D Kennedy half-dollar, a coin that could turn out to be worth a small fortune if you know what to look for. Let's begin by understanding the origins of this remarkable coin. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Americans were deeply mourning, and the U.S. Mint wanted to honor his legacy through something lasting, a coin that would carry his image and memory for generations. Since then, the Kennedy half-dollar has been one of the most collected and admired coins in U.S. history. Now, by the time the year 2000 rolled around, most Americans weren't using half-dollars in everyday transactions anymore. These coins were rarely seen in circulation, as the U.S. Mint produced them mainly for collectors. Still, the Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, produced a significant number of 2000 Kennedy half-dollars. However, not all of them are created equal. Among those millions, a few coins stand out as extraordinarily valuable due to their condition, striking errors, and unique features that make them rare collector's items today. To understand why the 2000 D Kennedy half-dollar can be worth so much, we need to look closely at what makes it special. Let's start with the design. On the obverse, or front, we see the profile of President John F. Kennedy, beautifully detailed with the word Liberty arching above his head. The phrase, "In God We Trust," sits proudly below, along with the year 2000, marking the turn of a new century. The D Mint mark appears just below Kennedy's neck, signifying that it was struck at the Denver Mint. On the reverse side of the coin, we find the majestic presidential seal, an eagle with a shield, clutching an olive branch and arrows, surrounded by 50 stars symbolizing the states of the Union. It's an iconic and deeply patriotic design that has captivated collectors for decades. Now, here's where things get interesting. Most of the 2000 D. Kennedy half dollars were made for circulation or collector's mint sets. However, only a small percentage of these coins were struck in perfect condition. Some have mirror-like surfaces, sharp edges, and flawless details. These are known as proof-like or mint state examples. Coins graded by professional organizations such as PCGS or NGC can fetch incredibly high prices if they score above MS67 or higher. But what really drives the price sky high are the rare minting errors. Every once in a while, during the minting process, something unusual happens. Maybe a planchet, the blank piece of metal before it's struck, gets misaligned, double struck, or struck on the wrong metal type. These kinds of errors create one-of-a-kind pieces that collectors fight to own. Some 2000 D. Kennedy half dollars have been found with striking anomalies like off-center strikes, broad strikes, or even double-die obverse, where Kennedy's profile and the text appears slightly duplicated or shadowed. These types of coins are extremely rare, and when authenticated, they can command thousands of dollars on the collector's market. Another factor that adds immense value is the coin's condition. The U.S. Mint produces millions of coins each year, but only a small fraction remain in pristine, untouched state. A 2000 D. Kennedy half dollar that has never been circulated, showing no scratches or wear, and retains its original luster is what collectors call mint state. Coins graded MS68 or MS69 are among the finest known and are extremely sought after. Now, let's take a look at why this coin holds such a deep fascination among collectors. The Kennedy half dollar series represents more than just currency. It symbolizes a piece of American history. Collectors feel a strong connection to this coin, not just because of its design, but because of what it represents: hope, patriotism, and the memory of one of America's most beloved presidents. The year 2000 also marked a significant milestone. It was the beginning of a new era. Collectors often place special value on coins struck during such pivotal years. Combine that with the fact that half dollars were already becoming scarce in circulation, and you have a coin that's not just historically meaningful but also increasingly rare. So, if you happen to find a 2000 D. Kennedy half dollar in your change, or tucked away in an old collection, it's time to take a closer look. Start by examining the mint mark. You'll find the letter D right below Kennedy's neck. Then, check the coin's surface under a good light. Look for sharp details, no scratches, and strong luster. If you suspect it might have an error, like doubled lettering, missing details, or unusual texture, it's worth having it professionally graded. Grading companies like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, can certify your coin's condition and authenticity, which can significantly boost its market value. It's also important to note that some 2000 D. Kennedy half dollars were produced for collector sets in higher quality finishes. These coins, sometimes called specimen strikes, were specially handled to ensure a superior appearance. A coin like that, if kept untouched in its original packaging, can be worth much more than its face value. Let's explore how the market has evolved for these coins. Over the years, the demand for Kennedy half dollars has continued to rise. Collectors who started small collections decades ago are now searching for those missing rare years or mint marks to complete their sets. The year 2000 D coin, being from a transitional period, sits in a special place in this collection timeline. It bridges the classic late 20th century issues with the more modern 21st century strikes. Auction records show that pristine examples of the 2000 D Kennedy half dollar have sold for astonishing prices. Coins graded MS68 or MS69, especially with attractive toning or eye-catching luster, have been known to reach into the high thousands. Rare mint era versions can command even higher premiums, depending on their uniqueness and demand at the time of sale. Collectors love stories behind their coins, and the Kennedy half dollar certainly has one of the richest stories in American numismatic history. Each time you hold one, you're holding not just a piece of metal, but a tribute to a nation's leader, a symbol of unity, and a tangible piece of history that has journeyed across decades. Now imagine this. A coin that was once worth only 50 cents could today be worth a staggering amount of money, especially if it's one of the rare varieties or in perfect condition. People have found valuable coins sitting in old drawers, inherited from grandparents, or even given as change at a gas station. You never know, that one coin could be the gateway to a life-changing discovery. The 2000 D. Kennedy half-dollar serves as a perfect reminder of why coin collecting remains one of the most exciting hobbies in the world. Every coin tells a story. Every mint mark, every shine, every detail carries history. The thrill of finding a rare one keeps collectors searching, inspecting, and dreaming. So next time you come across a Kennedy half-dollar, don't just pass it along or toss it in a jar. Take a moment. Look closely. You could be holding something far more valuable than you think. Remember, collectors always advise to preserve coins properly. Keep them in protective holders, away from moisture and oils from your hands. Even a small fingerprint or scratch can drastically reduce a coin's value. Always handle them carefully by the edges and store them in a cool, dry place. And if you're just starting out in coin collecting, the Kennedy half-dollar series is a fantastic place to begin. It's a journey through time, from the 1964 silver issues to the modern clad designs, each year adding a new chapter to America's numismatic legacy. Now, as we reach the end of this fascinating story, one truth stands out. Among the countless Kennedy half-dollars struck, the 2000 D Mint Mark edition remains a prized find. Its beauty, rarity, and historical importance make it a must-have for serious collectors, and if you happen to possess one of those rare gems, in mint condition, or bearing a unique error, you might be sitting on something truly extraordinary. Because one of these coins, in perfect state and authenticated, has been valued at an unbelievable amount of $49,266. So, check your coin jars, look through those old collections, and never underestimate the hidden treasures that could be waiting right in your own home. Thanks for watching World Information HD, where knowledge meets discovery, and where ordinary coins can tell extraordinary stories. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible videos about rare US coins worth millions of dollars. Who knows, the next coin we talk about might just be the one in your hand.